Welcome back to my studio, garden studio. What I want to do today is show you the notes that I will do. And we're going to do what I call a bird on a wire, which was actually a Mel Gibson movie. And I made notes, done a little drawing here on a piece of paper. I'm going to show you what I do, how I transfer the paper drawing onto the canvas. So we're going to be discussing the rule of thirds again. And it's a very simple illustration that I want to do. So it's quite a big illustration, probably A3 size, maybe a bit bigger. And I'm going to demonstrate where to put this bird. Where do we put it? On this third, on that third. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my favorite charcoal pencil, and I'm going to turn the page over, and I'm going to get charcoal on the back. What I've done here is textured the entire back, covered the entire back with the charcoal pencil. You can use normal charcoal like that as well, but it's very soft. This is really one of my favorites. It's a medium, soft and hard charcoal that works. It's covered with a plastic piece. And all I've done is taken my bird. And now we're going to decide where to put it. Do we want it to be looking down on the painting? Or do we want it to be looking up on the painting? So there's my third line on the canvas, and there's the other third line. So I want to sort of put him on the third, also put him on a third line that runs this way. Birds are a little bit tricky because every bird is different. Every species of bird is different, and what happens is someone that knows birds is going to say, okay, there's a feather missing, or the tail is too long, or something. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the easy way of doing a generic bird, just a straightforward bird. Circle for the head. I've got an oval for the body, like that, and put in a tail. You can make the tail as long as you want to. So I've got a tail that long, and a little indication of a wing, and the bird is sitting on a wire or a wall or whatever. And what I do is I just indicate the feet like that. Give it a little indication of the feet. So that's what I do. Is a basic bird shape. Something that can't be too detailed or over detailed. And obviously where our bird has got a little beak. So we've got a triangle in there, and we've got an eye in there. And it looks like pretty childish or sort of simplified, but that's the start of my bird. Now what I'll do is I'm going to show you what it would look like if we had to just extend this tail for some reason. We say, okay, we put a long tail in there. It's a completely different bird. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take this bird. This is my original note, and I'm going to transfer my note bird onto my card. So one of my friends has just made me a lovely cup of coffee, so I'll be sipping coffee along the way. And what I'd like to show you is this charcoal background. So we're going to place the bird on the third line, or on the third line. Thirds being this way and thirds being this way. And what I thought I'd like to show you is how that wire is going to work. So I've got this thread and it's all over the place, and the weight of the bird is going to pull that thread down like that. So we're going to put a little bit slightly down, so it gives it a bit of credibility in terms of its position and its shape. So what we're going to do now, I think we must put him up at the top. He can look down on everything. So what I'm going to do now is create the drawing. I'm going to press pretty hard with a normal ballpoint pen like this, and I'm going to press pretty hard, getting the shape of the bird. So I've done it on a piece of paper first to kind of give me an idea of what I want the bird to look like. So I'm busy tracing him up. I'm not going to have that full circle. He's going to have the bird's going to have a white area, so I understand what that wants to be. I'm not going to over accentuate the eyes. I'm going to have a little triangle for his beak, and keep going round the whole drawing. So the drawing is going to transfer into the bird over onto my canvas. Then I'm going to rely on dark and light and color. At this stage the bird is transferred onto the canvas, so I can see where he's positioned. It's very much about composition. So we've got this, where do we want this bird? I'm an advocate of thirds. I love this idea of thirds this way and thirds this way. The next thing I'm going to do, that's a straight line. I'm using another paintbrush. Doesn't really matter. And I want to just angle it slightly so it gives the bird a bit of weight. I'm going to put a line in there, and then that's a straight line that side, and I'm going to angle it again slightly to put a line in there with my charcoal, and that gives a lovely tension. Man, that's the bird is just giving this thing, this wire line, a little bit of tension. So I'm putting it in, giving it some weird twist that happens here, and we do it again on this side. It's going to be a very, very simple painting. Very, very simple. And this whole idea came from being in the garden and watching a bird land on the telephone line. It's like, yeah man, that's going to be really cool to paint that. What I'm doing now is giving myself a tone. The tone of a painting is more important than the color. That's actually looking amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. Here we give it a little bit of, just rub this in. You know what I think about when you're painting, when you're painting a painting, let your mind decide the next stage of the painting. You know, here's this. I love it. It's so cute and so simple. So very simple. We're going to add the tone of the bird now. So I'm not too worried about the detail, especially of the eyes, because everyone tends to think, oh, that's really important. But yeah, we're going to leave the eyes open to remember where they are in the space of this bird, and we're going to leave the little beak open, which actually could be quite nice if we just make it a little bigger than originally thought. And going to go down here, darken this bird. What I've done is I've added a little bit of blue to my black. So so that it's not so black. It's dark, but it's not so black. So what we do is I'm going to put it in this towel in there. There's a bit of dry brush coming in there, which is nice. And it's all you want to do, all you need to do is give an indication of a bird. It doesn't have to be a specific species, a specific type of bird. It's going to create a feeling that there's a bird. That's all you need. And maybe we just add a little bit of touch down here, give it a shape, and then I'm washing my brush off to get the next part done. Okay, so we're back and we're going to make the wire. The bird is on the wire. I'm going to create this, create the shape of the wire, or the position of the wire. And what I want to do, what I'm planning to do here is actually get the wire in and then paint around the wire. Now remember the paintbrush that we used? I'm going to use that again to get an absolutely straight-ish line along the wire. So I'm twisting my brush, and the bird is giving a little bit of weight, so it's pulling down onto the wire. So let's just put some blue in with his little feet. And he looks a little angry, and the reason he looks angry is because he's got a frown on his face. So we don't want that. I don't want him to look like he's frowning, like he's angry, like an angry bird, like a crow or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to take this frown off. It's just a cute little eye and a cute little bird and a cute little beak. And then we see what happens to the next part. I'm going to darken underneath his body. He's almost done. I'm going to dump that brush in. Now we're going to work on the background. The background is going to be a yellow, a feel of yellow in the background. He's going to be white and black, and the rest is going to read as it is. This is what I call negative space painting. So we're painting the negative space. In other words, the background to the bird. And what I'm doing is I'm mixing up a yellow, and that it could be any color, but I'm adding white to it. And then I'm adding a touch of orange to it, and we'll see what happens. There's black, there's blue, there's yellow and white and orange. And this doesn't have to be too careful. You can just have fun with it. Just go crazy. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. It's easy actually if you let yourself go. Don't worry about, oh, we're dipping into the tub of white because I need more white, but that's okay. There's white around here. Not too careful. Now the birders will look at this and think, oh my word, what kind of bird is that? Doesn't really matter actually. If it's a generic bird, it happens to be just a brown, what do they call it? A brown bird? Like just a little brown job. It's hardly got a name. And we're painting the shape around the bird. So we got that, we get a little bit careful around the edges of the bird. We can reconstruct that part and go all the way through. This is fairly thick paint. The paint is quite heavy, and I'm going to leave that mark that happens there. I don't want to change that too much. So I'm just whacking in the paint as we go over the top of our. Remember the third principle. It's like there. It's around about on the third, on the third, on the third. So we're just going in there. I'm going to need more white again. So I'm not doing the background and then putting the bird on the background. I'm putting the bird in first and then creating the background. Don't worry about going over the charcoal marks. So this is really a lot of all sorts of paint, and I think I'm just putting too much color in here. So what I'm going to do is dip into my paint. I'm going to dip into my paint and I'm going to just place it straight onto the canvas. So it's going to be like that. Just let it run. It actually becomes more like an abstract. I've got this little spot here on the third line, and I've got this spot here where the bird is sitting on the third line, and that's really cool. I'm happy with that. Let it go, let it go, and don't forget to keep looking at the painting. Keep looking at what you're doing. There we go, we've got a tractor in the background. This is a garden studio, so you know there's going to be background noises. Dipping into my white again, and this is acrylic paint, so I'm just going to hold my canvas down like that, go through this orange, and I'm dancing across the painting all the time. I'm creating almost diagonal points across the painting, and there we go. It's starting to nicely move. Before it dries, get a little idea, a kind of idea of where your paint is. I'm going to have to switch to a smaller brush because I've got to tuck into this thing. I've got to tuck in to the edge of the painting. I think the secret of this painting is going to be in the eyes and in the chest of the bird. So we're going to go across and then kind of step back from the painting and have a look at what you're doing. You know, dust it across. Let's get some more white in here, and that's going to be quite amazing. I'm going to put some white in here, almost like the background of the painting is foliage or sun color set or whatever. And there we go. There's my painting as it goes. Edge this wire, the bird on the wire. That's what we're doing. It's bird on the wire. So it's a single bird. I'm going to put that in the tub, and then we pick up some color and try and reconstruct this bird. I see there's some dark marks there. We're not going to use that. We're going to use another paintbrush to get that. There's a mark that I don't want. And so, well, that's how easy it is. What I'm going to do now, so it's almost like a sketch. Treat paint like a sketching medium. This is your tool to make that sketch work. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take, I've got way more yellow than I need, but I'm going to take a little bit of blue out of here, and I'm going to create a tonal shape, a tonal color, which is almost like a gray, and I'm going to touch it into this bird. So what I'm planning to do is add white to this chest, and then the final details are going to be the beak and the eyes. Some artists like to start with the beak and the eyes. I actually don't like doing that myself, because I want to rely on the concentration of the beak and the eye as the final detail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my brush along this wire. Roll the brush along the wire. It's very much a decorative painting. And we're going to let this dry. We've got a bit of wind coming in here. But very strong yellow and orange as a color. Maybe what needs to happen is the chest of the bird needs to be whitened. So I'm not sure how we're going to do that. Let's get this some color off here. I'm going to just whiten this entire area and then let it dry. Let it dry. So it's pretty difficult to conceptualize or paint and speak at the same time, but that's a bird. That's all I want, is a bird. So now what we're doing is we're going back to the story of beginning of the painting. There's my sketch, and that's the finished painting. So what I need to do is whiten this area, the area of the bird's chest. So I'm just going to take I don't suggest this, but using the cap of the paint, and we just whiten this entire area here. Give it a little bit of a shadow. That's it. So we get a little bit, and then we take this away. So look at that. Look at that. We're whitening this area. And then I'm going to take a very small brush. And the last thing I'm going to do is create the beak and the eyes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create the eye with some white, and this eye is in the wrong place, and put a little beak in. That's as simple as that. Turn my brush, twist it, get some white in between these lines, and then we almost at the end of this painting. What I want to do now, I'm looking at it, and I think, okay, we're going to lighten even further, lighten this part of the chest, and then one more thing is to get some dark color, some almost black, and we're going to get a little bit of definition coming in. So I'm mixing up, what I'm doing is I'm going to mix up the blue and black. I really don't like using black on its own. I'm going to create a little bit of definition in the eyes and the head, get some edges going, some definition there, and maybe we get a little bit of flicks, and of course the feet.
the little toes holding onto the wire, and the wire is in the front, of course, so we're going to go across there and put some more definition on the wire. So this is the bird on the wire. Bird on a Wire, which is actually a movie name. It's quite crazy. And create new definition. I'm going to close this one eye down. This one eye needs to be a little bit closed down. So the whole concept is not to be too careful about the bird. It's more of an abstract painting, allowing it to be whatever, like a generic bird. And there we go. That's it. Maybe get some. Let's get a little bit of a shape on this bird, which is light grey black. And I think that's about it. That's about it. Thank you for watching.